No, you guys have that. I don't have one, I don't think. After 4.5 years,
Yeah.
oh, geez.
Yeah.
Right? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? Excuse me, we need a motion. Can we have a motion to come back into regular session?
So moved.
Moved by Alderwoman Schmidt. Is there a second? Second by Alderwoman Bray. Now, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Bray?
Here.
Alderman Matthey?
Here?
Alderman,
Yesing? You're yesing, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yesinger here, I think.
Alderman Sage?
Here.
Alderman Malumboy? Alderman Burgess?
Yes.
Alderman Painter? Here. Alderman Schmidt? Yes. Alderman Black? Yes. Alderman Harmon?
Yes.
And then we can go back to Alderman Milwamboy. Just, you're here.
You're here.
Yes,
Yeah. Yes. You just voted for a $5 trillion tax increase. No, kidding. All from Board 3. Okay. All right, now we move to a discussion regarding Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act on disclosable payments to Marcia Ulrich. And just to remind everyone that this is a legacy of the sick leave buyback. Any employees who were hired from 2012 on are not eligible for this, but we are required by law to report this. And so I am turning this over to Josh.
Thank you, Mayor Renner, the council. And to your point, I wanted to come up this evening and just give a little more information in regards to the sick leave buyback payout that will actually be in process very shortly for Marcia, as pursuant to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act of July 2016. This is the second employee that we have done a similar process for. Last year, of course, as you'll remember, Lori Woolrad was the first employee. And of course, all of the information is all embedded in your materials for this evening. But specific to Marcia, she is an office manager in our police area. And actually, because of our past practice where all of the sick leave that she has accrued will be paid out to her into her retiree health savings account, she will receive a little over $28,000 in payments, and those will actually be structured over a 3-month period at the end of this month, again in December.
Again, could you just clarify that's not, we're not writing a check to her
Correct.
that she can use to go to Bermuda?
That is correct.
Okay.
The funds are passed over to our retirement health savings account vendor, ICMA, and then those are available to her in retirement. But the way that this is structured over a 3-month period, it does increase her pensionable wage that she receives. For Marcia in particular, it's $165 per month in her pension. And so in order to account for those funds, we make an upfront payment on behalf of the city so that we are able to account for that from an actuarial standpoint. And that payment for Marcia that we will be making is $22,453.39. And we will actually pay that after she retires. We get a bill from IMRF and we pay that accordingly. So.
Okay. Question to Josh. Yeah, Alderwoman Schmidt.
Mayor, I just want to follow up on the point that you made and reinforce that this is not pension spiking. Or is it? I mean, we've received an email from somebody suggesting that this is pension spiking.
Go ahead. You want to answer that? No, go ahead. He would be your best resource.
Yeah. Thank you, Nicole.
I don't refer to it as pension spiking. It is a past practice where we have allowed employees who are retiring, who were hired before the May 1st, 2012 date, to take their payments over 3 months. What that results in then is an accelerated payment request from IMRF to pay ahead of time into their retirement. So I don't look at it as pension spiking. I look at it as we're following a practice that's been in place for years.
And so we need to pay more money up front, so we do not then have to pay more money later.
And it's being paid into her health plan.
They're two separate items, and I do
Okay,
want to
thank you for
clarify a few
clarifying
things.
that.
So from a pension perspective, there are a lot of different factors, of course, that go into the actuarial value. One is the age of the member. Another is the gender. Women typically outlive men. Also, too, a person's marital status is a factor. There are all these different factors. Based on that information, then IMRF looks at the individual to say, okay, what is their rate of pay? How much are they receiving in sick leave buyback that will heighten the liability from an employer standpoint that we may owe depending on their projected, lifespan for the remainder of their years. And then based on the current, value of those funds, that is what we make from an accelerated payment perspective. So there's actually two different components here. One is the actual pay to the employee into their RHS based on sick leave. That is almost, a sideline aspect, but based on the way it's paid, it does increase the pension component.
The total compensation.
Yeah.
I see. Thank you for clarifying that. And I guess a follow-up question is there anything else we should be doing that would ameliorate any of this in the future?
Sure,
In a way that obviously is legal to our employees and respectful of their work.
And to Nicole's point, it is a past practice of the city. And, even prior to my time here with the city, there's been several studies based on, the potential liability that the city would have. When you look across our 600 employees, roughly about a third of the workforce is impacted. So if there ever were to be any future changes that would be made, we'd have to really do, a gut check from, a talent perspective, because depending on the department, some areas are highly, have a higher tenure than others, and you would have some, potential risk in terms of service delivery to the city. And so, there's definitely a push-pull component. We have looked at it, and it's not that we're looking, at that as well, into the future as per the agreement that was set a few years ago. But definitely, there would need to be a lot of rigor in place and agreement across the board before any changes would be made.
Nicole, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I
Okay.
said it well.
Jeff?
Yeah, I think that Josh explained this. The question is this pension spiking? Certainly these policies have the effect of increasing your pension. So I don't, whatever you call it, I don't think you can get around that the policies, and again, these are for grandfathered employees, but these policies are increasing the pensions beyond what their normal earnings were in their last years of service. So.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? I mean, at this point, this is just, I'm sorry.
So one of the emails we had today, and I just wanted to address this because I've gotten the same email multiple times, is I guess Springfield has started paying out this 2 months after the person has retired, which doesn't affect the pension amount. And I just wanted to address that publicly so we talk about what the impacts of that might or might not be for the city of Bloomington, so we get that on the record. Do you have any thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, we have discussed that internally, and we are aware of that practice, and we've actually run into it as well with some of our retirees who come back into seasonal positions from an IMRF perspective on what funds are actually seen versus, any sort of earnings that are not seen from a pension standpoint. Again, that's part of the work that we are continuing to do internally. Long term.
And a policy change that this council can make.
Yeah, it would have to be a policy change across the board.
And we are looking at bringing back at the beginning of the year. We're working on the numbers, some of those different policy possibilities, and we're looking at bringing that back to the council at the beginning of the year to kind of further address this issue. So.
Okay,
Thank you.
and particularly now that Springfield has borne the cost.
That's right. Yeah, the interesting issue with Springfield is the Supreme Court did not decline to hear that appellate court case, so that appellate court decision stands. The other issue in Springfield, however, is the fact that they did not bargain that benefit or bargain that change with their collective bargaining units. So those labor unions there filed an unfair labor practice. So there are, while on one hand it seems like it's been cleared, what we're still working with internally is coming up with options that will address so that we don't have any unfair labor practices within the city of Bloomington as well.
Okay. Other questions? Seeing none, again, this was just an information-only item. And at this point, is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Alderwoman Schmidt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderwoman Howman. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll be back in about 6 minutes for Township. Thank you.